Välkomna tillbaka. Vi fortsätter Stockholm Corporate Finance Life Science-dag här och tar ett lite steg åt sidan och går in mer mot medtech. För vi har nöjet att presentera Iconovo där vd Johan Wärborg kommer att presentera verksamheten och ett par minuter för frågor i slutet. Så ställ dem på nätet. Välkommen Johan och varsågod.
Tack så mycket and thank you very much. I will actually do this in
Right.
English. So it's a pleasure to be here. I am Johan and I am the CEO of Iconovo since April last year. And I will take you through what Iconovo is and what we do. And this is my plan to do so. I would like to focus on the investor perspective in this presentation, and I want to show you how we create investor value. And I also want you to understand how we see our business, what platforms we use, which applications they have, and also the projects that we have ongoing, both internal projects that we develop ourselves and the customer agreements that we have signed. And also I want to share with you something about our plans for these projects going forward. So Iconovo is a company that develops and out-licenses complete inhalation products, inhalation pharmaceutical products. And those will be then based on one of our proprietary inhalation platforms. So you have IcoCap, IcoRes, Ico1 and IcoPre. And I will go through what you can do with these platforms. So what we do is that we are able to create value for you as an investor by addressing enormous global markets. And we have an attractive business model to do so, which I will explain. And we have a portfolio of projects today, which offers also a controlled risk to our offer. And of course, if you want to have good business, you have to have a very attractive customer proposal. And we do have that. And we are actually having a way of setting up our business that very few companies around the globe can do, which means that we have quite a few, not that many competitors in the world that can do what we do. We're a global company, but we are a Swedish company. We're based in Lund, but we have a global reach. This is where we are. We are currently situated in the Medicon village in the old AstraZeneca facilities in Lund. 2020 was a really good year for us. We increased our revenue by 50% and we managed to land two new customer agreements, two new royalty agreements. And we're a listed company. We're listed on Nasdaq First North, and where we did our IPO in April 18. We took in 60 million at the end of 2019, which puts us in a rather good cash position, 62 million SEK at the end of Q4. It says Q3 on the slide here. But at the end of last year, we had 62 million, and our market cap yesterday was 450 million. 590 million people. That's the people on the globe that has either asthma or COPD. This is our biggest market, and the market where we started with our customer interactions and our portfolio. This 590 million people represents a market of 30 billion US. And if you take the part of that you can really closely correlate to the market that we address, it's the dry powder inhaled versions of asthma and COPD drugs. And actually, there aren't that many inhalers for those drugs. The ones you see on the slide here actually represent the majority of those slides and the majority of the value as well. And actually, out of those 14 billion US, a lot of the products within that have lost their patent, but still the value is maintained. And the reason for that is that it is quite difficult to produce an inhaled pharmaceutical product. First of all, you have to be able to make the powder, you have to make that perfect. You have to be able to make the inhaler with all the IP and technology and knowledge that is demanded to put one of those together. And most difficult of all is really to get the powder and the inhaler to play well together, and so that the patient in the end can have an optimal treatment. So when a customer, maybe a medium-sized company, a small-sized company, or even the big ones, when they look at this, if they don't have the competence to do this, it will cost them a lot of money, it will come at a high risk, and it will take a long time. So what we can offer is to reduce this risk for them, because we are a company that really know the things that are needed to put one of these products together. We're a company that are founded and based on device design. We have a department that is specialized to take care of the powder formulations. And we have an analytics department that all the time can make sure that we are ending up in the right place, exactly where we want to be. So instead of this other picture, you can shorten the time and you can have a much lower risk and a lower cost for the companies that contract with us. The Iconovo offer and our business model is based on this. We develop pharmaceutical formulation that is optimized to one of our inhaler platforms. And we want to sign exclusive licenses for a combination of one of our platforms, one drug, and a territory of the customer's choice. And the nice thing about this setup is that we can use the same platform for many drugs and in many territories. So it's a very scalable platform model. And a key part of our customer offer is that we can really shorten the time to market for these companies, and we can make it happen. And our development happens in parallel, so we can develop and optimize the inhaler in parallel to making the formulation of the powder. And once we are ready with the product, the customer takes over. So we limit our risk taking at the stage where the trials begin. So the bioequivalency trials and the registration, the logistics setup, etc., is managed by our business partner. And from launch, we get part of that value that is generated as a royalty revenue. There is a higher probability of reaching market for the Iconovo model, and for generics in general, there is a higher probability of reaching the market. So more than 65% in general of all generic products reach market because they don't have to pass all the phase 1, 2, 3 trials and then registration. You can compare that to novel pharma projects that have to pass all these phases, and the chance of them reaching market is actually 14%. And with the Iconovo model, we believe that we can even surpass the generic probability here with our integrated development model and make a really solid case for reaching the market. The revenue model looks like this. Simple setup. We normally in the beginning of a contract, we have a technology access fee. Then we make the development work, we make the formulation, we optimize the inhaler, and throughout the development we receive milestone payments. Then, when the product is launched, that's what we all are waiting for in the end, because that's also when 80 to 90% of the total deal value is realized. That is when we get royalty or a share of the revenue as a profit split. Now a little bit of a deep dive in our platforms and the projects within this. This is the menu. It's become rather complex the last year, which is pleasing to me. It means we have more projects. But I will take you through it, and I will give you some examples in the presentation as well. So from the top here, you have our two ICO-RES agreements. Both are in asthma and COPD. The top one is with Amneal, and the second one is with Intas. The top one is a Symbicort generic, and the second one is an undisclosed substance. The three in the middle are based on ICO-CAP. So you have Ultibro and you have Seebri, which are two products that we have an agreement with a regional company in South Korea, BNC Korea. And underneath you have our global agreement with Stevanato, an Italian company with a global reach that produces and sells inhalation devices, and they sell ICO-CAP. We have, we have our newest agreement with Monash University. It's for a dry powder version of inhaled oxytocin. I will tell you more about that. And last, we have our development project with ICOpre. So let's start with ICO-CAP. This is our capsule inhaler with a unique and simple and user-friendly design. So for ICO-CAP, Stevanato has the global license to sell and manufacture. And we will receive, for each sold inhaler, we will receive a share as a royalty. The type of inhalation device can be used quite widely. So for generic products, innovative products, pharma products, and trials, it's very, very used as well. And you have a small gelatin capsule inside where the powder is. The example deal for this one is with BNC Korea. It's for Ultibro and Seebri, two COPD drugs. They are license agreements for 20 years with a 4 to 7% royalty range. And it's for an Asian territory with a 2.7 billion inhabitants. So representing about 50% of the global market within this area. And that's one of the things I want to highlight here as well, is that the upside and the possibility for us here is the other 85% as well. So of course we're targeting these, especially Europe would be interesting, where about 50% of the global sales is. So the BNC Korea agreement would represent between 4 and 12 million a year for us, and we calculate with a launch in 2024, while the global potential would be 28 to 76 million. And of course, that's what we are aiming for. We'll make the technology transfer of the first product end of this year, and then the company are ready to make the pharmacokinetic trials, and we are all targeting the first launch in South Korea 2024 with this product. ICO-RES is our multi-dose inhaler with several smart feedback functions. For example, it has an exact dose counter. It has also on the back side there, which you don't quite see, a little window that opens up and gives you an indication if the inhalation has been made successfully. There is also room inside to place digital components so you can have mobile connectivity, etc. So it's prepared for that. It's also a very nice piece of robust Scandinavian design, simply. And this is our flagship for generic pharma. So it's addressing exactly the market that I told you in the beginning there, the 590 million people out there and the more than 14 billion US market. So that's the market we want to go to with this. The example here is the deal we have with Amneal. It's for generic Symbicort, and it's a license agreement for 20 years with a royalty between 5 and 10%. It's for the European area. And that again indicates an area where the potential, the sales today is 10 billion, But in the world, there are 30 billion SEK sales. So of course we're very interested as well in signing agreements for the rest of the world to capture all the value there is. The example here is for Amneal Europe. This would represent a revenue for Iconovo per year between 50 and 100 million SEK from 2023. And on a global scale, this would give us around 150 up to 300 million SEK per year. And this is royalty, so it's basically pure profit. The plan for Amneal and the communicated goals here as well is that we're right now closing the tech transfer. The customer will start the pharmacokinetic trials in Q2, and then we expect the results at the second half of the year. And 2023 is the target year for launch in Europe. Ico1 is a very exciting thing. It's our newest device. We are developing one more I will tell you about, but this is our innovative single-dose inhaler for discreet and effective use. And this little thing is not bigger than that. It's a small inhaler, about 5 centimeters long, that can carry really large doses in one shot. It has a really low production cost since it's made out of one piece of plastic that you fold together. And it's very suitable to use in innovative inhalation projects where you often need a little bit bulkier volumes to have the dose. And our vision for this is really that this can, in a very smart way, replace injections. So it would then solve a problem with hazardous waste, disease that is spread from that. It would also reduce the risk or eliminate the risk for cold storage that we all know from COVID-19 today is needed to store some of the injectables that we use. Another thing that is really interesting to note is that the lung has a very fast onset of action. So it could offer a treatment path for many diseases or states that are acute. So for example, heart attack, epilepsy, acute allergic reactions, and many more. So here really the sky is the limit. And just before Christmas last year, we signed an agreement with Monash University, which is backed up financially by Janssen and Johnson & Johnson. And this is for a delivery of an oxytocin, a dry powder oxytocin in our Ico1. And Monash University have managed to bring forth a dry powder version of oxytocin. They have been researching this for years. And it's for bleeding after childbirth, so postpartum hemorrhage. And this is a very serious thing and a great unmet medical need in the world. WHO recommends that all women across the globe should get oxytocin during childbirth to reduce the risk of PPH. But as you can imagine, this does not happen in rural areas of countries where the economy is not that great and maybe the infrastructure is still in development as well. So this is how it could look in hospitals, for example, in Africa. We know that today around 60,000 women around the globe die from PPH each year. And WHO estimates that you should give around 65 million women around the globe per year oxytocin to stop these deaths happening, and to give them the same chance of life as the rest of the globe has. So that is really the main target for this product. This is a license agreement as well, 20 years, royalty between 5 and 10%, and we're receiving technology access fee and also payment for our development as we go along. and here it's been really the agreement with Monash has been really exciting, and we're working with a lot of passion for this. It's also been a very important entry for Iconovo into a new field of innovative inhalation pharma, which we have been planning for and aiming at for a long time, especially with ICO 1. So the plan for the Monash University project is to manufacture the clinical trial material. We're actually done with that, and the first clinical trial, which will be a phase 1, will be performed by Monash in this year. And thereafter, they will be ready to perform a phase 3 trial. So skipping over to our newest strategic project, which is ICO-Pre. It's a pre-metered inhalation device, and it's a strategic development especially targeting the US market and the Ellipta portfolio, where the patent of the first product, Relvar, or the first big product, is expiring in 2025. So ICO-Pre will be equivalent to Ellipta. It will come with 5 formulations, so it's a portfolio in a product. It will have the same mode of operation, open, inhale, close, an exact dose counter. It will be ready, future-proof for triple combinations. And a look at the market will tell you that this is already a huge market. It's today, according to GSK's annual report, a $3.5 billion market. And consensus forecasts estimate that this market will be worth around 4.9 billion in 2025 when the patent of Relvar expires. So our aim is then to be ready then to offer a partner company to be one of the first generics to address that LOE in the American market. So to keep the pace here, we have set some goals for 2021. We want to have our inhaler ready. We will show it at the conference in May. It will be fully injection molded at the end of the year and manufactured in small series. And we will have all the 5 formulations ready so we can show the complete product. And of course, we will scale up the marketing and the commercial efforts, and we have already started to do so. So this is this finishing slide actually, and I would like to summarize just what we. I hope that I've been able to give you some insight within. So we want to create great inhalation products, basically. And by doing that, we create value for customers and investors. And we have a very attractive customer offer within this high-tech field, which actually has quite a low competition. We're a platform company now with 4 proprietary and patent-protected inhalers. We have a lower risk in our projects compared to novel pharma that needs to pass through all the clinical stages. And finally, we already have a portfolio with 5 new license agreements. And of course, we have high ambitions for the future as well. We set the aim for 2021 to sign 2 new license agreements this year as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. It's nice to hear a company with high ambitions and signing new license deals. I suppose would be a positive trigger for the share price. And looking at Iconovo from investor perspective, for instance, pharmaceutical companies have very specific steps to go through phase 1, 2, 3 in clinical trials and so forth. What sort of news flow do you think is important for you? Is it payments of milestones, for instance, that shows that you're progressing as planned, or?
Yeah, I mean, we are of course, this year is basically a year where we will enter at least into 2 clinical trials with the customer agreements. So those, of course, you should watch out for. Very important steps as well. It's not the final step, but it's a very important step to make sure that your products are bioequivalent or working the way they should, like in the case of Monash University. Although for the kind of trials that you do with reformulated pharma, like in oxytocin or generic products, there is still it's more a simple, smaller trial.
Right.
And then, of course, milestones that you mentioned, very important as well. But we have now quite a lot of projects, so we're passing milestones all the time. So, we try to keep updates about that as well. But it's a lot of things happening.
I thought it was interesting when you, in the beginning of your presentation, you talked about probability of success, and that with your product, hopefully that probability will improve. Is it due to the combination of adapting the product specifically, or can you say something more about that? Why is it advantageous to use your products in a...
Yeah, I mean, it's simply because we have all steps of the process integrated in our company. So if you're normally when these product fails or they get seriously delayed, it's because someone is developing the inhaler, for example, and another company does the formulation. And when you want to do business, you need to spend years in making those 2 components work well together. But we can do that in parallel.
Right. So you have an integrated process.
Yeah. So that's the main argument for our claim there.
Yeah. And hopefully we will see large volumes going forward. So what's your production strategy? Is it like a GMP thing where you subcontract production of the actual units to a company, and what sort of capacity do you have to ramp that up?
Actually, it's our strategy is to not keep away from it. We support that process, but it will be in the hands of our partner.
Yeah.
So they are used to do that for many products. So like in the case of Amneal, which is maybe the one that are most advanced,
right?
They are doing that setup, but of course we can all the time be there, and it's a very important part of what we want to do as well is to be present and to make sure that there aren't any hiccups, make sure that the timelines are held, etc. So we want to keep ourselves there.
Yeah. You have a strong cash position. You mentioned that in end of Q4 you had something like 62 million cash. So will that carry you into cash positive territory given the projects you have right now? Yeah,
given the projects we have now and plus some, it would definitely be enough to carry us into this royalty period. So from 2023, when the first product is launched, we will receive royalties, and all kind of overnight the whole balance of our balance sheet will be different, since a lot of profit will come directly from royalties. So
it's like a front-heavy payment model. Yeah. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you very much, Johan, for being here and presenting your company.
Thank you so much.